What is up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video, another episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. I am your host, Edward Anderson. So this is actually a primer regarding Fat Joe and the situation around Fat Joe. However, I want to speak on kind of a previous situation that happened with, a content creator by the name of Shay Sade. And I remember when she first came into this conversation and people wanted to, when I say dump on her, they wanted to download all the information up to date, and she was very clear that she wanted to kind of see things on her own and figure things out for herself. And I said that is the right approach. And I remember telling the guy, you see the video here, that's the right approach, because at the end of the day, I am confident that my point of view is the right point of view. And a lot of times when you are confident in that, you have to allow people to come to that conclusion on their own. And that's something a lot of folks don't tend to be very good at. And that was a few years ago. And there's been a couple of, little like bumps in the road with different people that misunderstood what was being said. And that is what it is. The most recent part of that was between her and O'Shea Jackson. And I'm not really going to speak on that, but O'Shea was speaking on a situation that happened between her and Tariq. And that kind of is what kind of paves the way to what we're dealing with today. And I'm going to speak on Fat Joe separately because, I'm definitely going to speak on that and that situation. However, Shay Sade just posted some posts, and I want to speak on that. In one of the posts, she talks about how, at the end, she says Black Americans and FBAs are not the same. And that can be a technical truth. Technically true. However, what she said before, she was talking in regards to how people are comporting themselves. Like, basically, the way they're communicating and the name calling. And you'll see the post here just so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And I want to speak on that. I've spoken on it on my live streams, but my live streams can kind of go into the nether realm because it ain't like YouTube promoting it, and y'all not gonna listen to me for no 2 hours. Shout out to the people that can do that. So I want to speak on that. First things first, I'm gonna highlight the same thing I've said before. First things first, let me say this right now. I absolutely, whether it's FBA, ADOS, the idea that African Americans need to have our own identity, because quite frankly, we have our own problems and we need to speak on that identity, is something I absolutely agree with. And let me say that straight up. However, one thing that needs to, and this is not so much to appease anybody, but this is so you can stand on what you're standing on. When people tend to argue and communicate, like you're in high school. Some of y'all are like in y'all 30s like me, and you all want to communicate like you all are in high school, calling people names. And let's be very clear. I said it before, and shout out to her for reposting the tweet. And I say it again. Yeah, name calling is warranted. There are times where it's warranted. What are those times? Those times are when you call someone a name. In this case, let's start. Let's not even go to the T word yet. Let's talk about coon. When I call you a coon, I am not just calling you a name. I am charging you with a infraction. That is what I am doing. I'm charging you with an infraction. I am blowing a whistle on you. I am saying that your behavior and what you are doing matches that of, in this case, in a case, a coon, and a coon is basically a traitor to black people. You like straight up. You a house, you know what? That's what I am saying, even though that's not exactly the same thing. You get what I'm saying? I'm charging you. So when I call you a name, that means something. And part of it is if you do it too many times, it loses its impact. And people don't take you seriously, and it opens you up for people being able to easily, dismiss what you're saying as hate speech, or as you're just calling names, or you're being immature. And this is why I come down on people to do that. So in this case, Tether. A lot of y'all like to use that word to make somebody feel bad because you wanna have the gun and be able to do something to somebody else. In your mind, you do it to white people. I remember, when I lived in Ohio briefly, and I have family there, and people used to use the term cracker. And I'm like, yo, do you really believe that bothers these people? Trust me, they have their own words for each other if they want to. Like, for instance, cunt bothers white women when you say it. You think cracker bothers them? They're like, oh, that's cute. This is like when a Mexican tries to call me the N-word. I'm like, white people would rather deal with N-words than deal with Mexicans. So if we're going to really keep it real with, like, the names, like, technically, you being a Mexican is actually worse. Even without me calling your name. Now I'm not, people can take that however you want to take it, but you get what I'm saying as far as how the hierarchy up in here goes. So my point is, when you call someone a tether, that means something. That means something. It's not for you feel some type of way, so you just start throwing that name out. Or when you don't have an answer for a legitimate question, you just start throwing that out. Shay Sade, I believe, is half Nigerian. Well, you can't be half Ados, but I believe one of her parents is Nigerian, one of her parents is African American. And you have and so even then, it's that if somebody has pushback on something, whether it's legit or not legit, it's very obvious how deep the well of your information goes by when black people result to name calling. And a lot of y'all need to grow up. And unlike like when I say that people need to start checking other people, I don't just say that because it sounds good. I mean that. And I have no problem checking other black people when they're out of line. Because it's not about just checking you. It's about you're making the whole movement look bad. And so, like, for example, another thing I said is a big reason. So let's start here. So I want to be clear on that. But there's a couple of things when it comes to the ADOS FBA stuff. And I understand it's not the same thing. I understand one's even, but you all know what I'm talking about. The idea of African American identity and us prioritizing all this stuff. It's one thing I want to make clear. A couple of things I don't like. Number one, the Native American black thing, that is not, the FBA movement is not that for you all to try to usurp and try to make the FBA movement we always been here movement. So we were never Africans movement. That's not what that's for. That's not what that's for. And one thing that and look, some of y'all will get offended, damn you. I understand, damn you. Because I'm saying what I'm saying. It is what it is. If y'all want to have that fight, that's not the same fight. Black African Americans securing their own identity is not let's just go ahead and create a brand new identity that we was always here. I'm not here to say, I understand that some of y'all have that kind of lineage, but at the end of the day, this is not going to be that thing where you all usurp it and then y'all get to hide behind other people that don't necessarily have the same idea when it comes to FBA. That's not the same thing. It's not. It's not. And so that's the first thing. And that's the first thing. And people always will say, well, you need to believe me. I don't have to believe you because that's not what the goal is. The goal of FBA and the goal of having your own identity is not so we can remix it. That may be your goal, but that's not the goal. That's the first thing. The second thing is a lot of folks like to use FBA in order to not have the gender conversation. And when I say the gender conversation, I specifically mean black women have a status quo that they're trying to preserve. And when I say status quo, I'm talking about they want black male labor, but they don't want black male leadership. Anybody that you fit into that category even a little bit, I'm talking to you. Let's not even get into all the other BS. You want black male labor, but you don't want black male leadership. Here's the problem. The problem is you have a lot of content creators that can't tell you that truth without it affecting their money. I'm not going to point names. You can listen to the rhetoric and understand what that is. And so what they'll typically do is they will use and look, some of these people I support, FYI, because it's not like they're bad like that, but I support them. But what they will do is they will use the FBA movement to kind of codify black men and black women in one block. So rather than saying, so what they'll do is they will say, okay, I'm willing to throw all non-black immigrants under the bus, rightly or wrongly. And trust, there's a lot of rightly to be done. Let's make no mistake with that. And that's another video. But I'll do that so I can codify African Americans here. And so rather than calling out certain, black female BS, and basically in that way you're splitting off your audience, because now black women don't want to mess with you because they feel some type of way, and that affects watch time, that affects money, that affects donations, that affects a lot of things. That's a slick way of doing that, and it allows you to kind of stay. It's kind of the new way of being pro-black if you're smart about it, and it is what it is. But I recognize that, and so ultimately. You have a lot of stuff like that going on, and you have a lot of audience members that some of them, their heart's in the right place. Some of them, they want to troll because this is a new thing to troll. And what happens is they want to do a whole bunch of ad-libbing rather than actually having a conversation, rather than actually having talking points. People want to just call names and be like children on these apps. And here's the problem with that. The problem with that is you undermine people, even some of the ones that's doing the kind of thing I just spoke about. You undermine what the ultimate mission is. You are a problem, because rather than standing 10 toes down in righteousness saying we're in the right, you allow people to paint us in a certain way. You actually open them up to making white people paint us a certain way. Because now they're much more willing to say openly that we're racist or prejudiced, which black people can't be racist, because to be racist, you have to have power. You have to have power over someone. Ain't nobody removing people from these apps, so stop playing. But the problem is you open yourself to that attack, and y'all don't got to deal with it because y'all are on these apps just having fun. Other people got to deal with it. Other people that have a lot more investment. Other people have a lot more time invested, money invested, mission stuff invested. And you all want to just sit here and go at somebody because you mad, because you want to blame everything on somebody. And make no mistake, when it comes to reparations, when it comes to a lot of stuff, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff to go around. But I want to be clear. You all think y'all are being cute. When you all do that, you are not being cute. When you do that, you are not helping. You are part of the problem because you're giving these people an escape route. What you're doing is you're allowing them to play victim. It's kind of like if you start just, when black women love to talk, you're bashing black women, and they'll just use that as a way this uniform shield to undercut stuff that we know is going on. So it's kind of like, are you serious or are you playing? Are you for real about it, or are you just being stupid? You calling somebody a tether is not gonna help. That actually helps them act like you ain't spitting no real stuff. So when you just charge it off to tether on Twitter, rather than the real issue at hand, like for instance, like I could go in on Fat Joe. Fat Joe, it's a real issue. Dude, you a white Latina saying the N-word like it ain't nothing. And then on top of that, you feel some type of way because you want to say, well, I'm from New York and hip hop really came from New York. Didn't create music. Yes, hip hop may have started from New York, but the music that hip hop draws from is not just essentially New York. Truth be told, I can make an argument hip hop blew up in the West Coast, where it became for real commercial. We get Rev Run and all of them, but we're talking about for real commercial. For real commercial. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. I want to make it clear on what I was saying. I mean, because I was misspelling some stuff on Twitter. And I'm going to actually put this up there specifically for Twitter. Anybody feel some type of way? Look, man, you can get at me. You can leave a comment, leave whatever. I'll be there. I'll be checking them out. But I'm not the one to really be doing that because my well runs very deep, most likely deeper than most of y'all's. And I just want to make that clear. If y'all want to feel some type of way about what I'm saying, because y'all don't want to hear me and y'all want to try to tag me as I'm just some apologist for somebody or some group, look, y'all don't know me. That's fine. Y'all can go to hell. Let me just say that up front. And y'all can F your feelings because I don't care. But I will respond to intelligent comments. So anyway, with that being said, Edward signing off. Peace.